Hi everyone! So today we're going to be talking all about crate training. I see a lot of questions from both experienced puppy owners and first-time puppy owners about crate training and how to go about that. So I want to answer some of those questions today, as well as show you guys the exact process I use when I'm crate training my puppies. So let's get started with answering the question about why is it important to crate train in the first place. So there are multiple reasons for this, and the first one is it's a wonderful aid in potty training. I personally have forever used crates to be a huge tool in my potty training. Very, very effective. If you need more information on potty training, you'll want to check out my potty training web class on that. But yes, crate training and potty training, in my opinion, go hand in hand. Obviously, it's possible to potty train without crates, but the reason why I feel like crates work so well is because your puppy naturally has an instinct that he wants to keep the area that he sleeps in, he wants to keep that clean. He doesn't want to soil it. So as a breeder, I have seen this firsthand as like a little tiny puppy, maybe even under 2 weeks old. Some of them will climb out of their box or just go all the way to the other end of their box to go to the bathroom because they don't want to soil where they're going to sleep. Obviously, this instinct can be destroyed through improper handling, but all good breeders are going to work very hard to preserve this, and we can use this as puppy owners. We can use this to our advantage to in the potty training process. And the kind of the way I like to look at it is the crate is a good place for kind of generalizing that concept. The crate, because it's where they sleep. It is where they sleep. It's where they hang out. It's their place. So they're not going to want to go in there. They're going to do what they can to go somewhere else. Then we just kind of generally broaden that concept to mean, oh, by the way, my house is like a giant crate. We don't go in my house either. Obviously, there's lots of steps involved to teaching that, but that's kind of the way I like to look at it. So yes, crate training and potty training, in my opinion, go absolutely hand in hand. The other great benefit to crate training is it helps prevent problem behaviors. Now, obviously, a crate isn't the thing that prevents the problem behaviors, but it can be a tool in preventing those behaviors. It also gives your puppy a quiet place of his own. So if you have an active household, or if you have other animals or children or whatever, it can be a safe place, especially for puppies, but honestly, I think all dogs really appreciate it. It can just be his place. He knows he's not going to be bothered. He can just chill out there. It's a lot of dogs really like that. And also, it's going to help prevent separation anxiety. And by this, I mean, if he is comfortable in his crate when you are gone, he's going to be comfortable when you're gone because he's comfortable in his crate when you're gone. So, it's a huge help in preventing separation anxiety issues. It's also, if he is crate trained when he goes to the vet or groomer and he has to be crated, his stress levels are going to be way lower than if he had no exposure previously to a crate. So even if you don't want to use a crate in your house very much, I would still recommend it just for that reason of him needing to go to the vet overnight or to the groomers, because that's what they use. They use crates. So let's talk a little bit about the crate itself. There's different styles of crates, and I'm going to talk about the two main ones. Obviously, there's a ton of different kinds of crates, but the two most common ones when we're talking about crate training are the hard plastic type, which is my personal favorite, and the one I use as much as I possibly can because I like it better. There's a lot of people who obviously prefer different styles, but I like the hard plastic crates because they're sturdy, they're solid, they provide that nice. I feel like puppies tend, in my experience, they tend to crate train better in the hard plastic crates, and I don't know exactly why, besides the fact that it's more enclosed. Obviously, there are millions of puppies that get crate trained in the wire crates, and they do just fine. But I have seen some puppies struggle, but they didn't struggle so much in the hard plastic kind. Then you have the wire type, which has a lot of advantages, because like when your puppy, just, this is an important note, but it's not really a side note, but it's an important note. You want to get a crate that fits the size of your puppy not a crate that fits the size of your adult, unless you have a way of making it smaller. So, because the reason why this is important is you don't want your puppy having so much space that he can go to the bathroom on one end and then lay down and sleep in the other, or else that kind of defeats the purpose of tapping into that natural instinct that they have. So if you are going to go with a hard plastic crate, you're going to have to buy more than one type or whatever. You're going to have to more than one size. If you get a wire crate, a lot of them come with the metal divider, and so you can kind of like have your crate grow with your puppy. I think actually this picture shows a divider. It actually does in the back. Anyway, so that they're handier as far as like moving around. They're not as heavy. Some people think they look better, whatever. But they also do make these covers on them to help them, because that is their biggest disadvantage, that they don't have that enclosed feel. So a cover or a blanket would work just as well. Can help make them feel a little bit more enclosed, which can help with the crate training process. So either one of these crates are a great option. It's more personal preference. A very, very important key that I want to bring out is where you need to have your crate. And in the beginning of crate training, you really need to have your crate near you. So this is probably going to look like in the bedroom by night and in the living room by day. The reason for this is because your puppy, if he's probably never been alone before until you bring him home. He's probably been with his litter mates or whatever. And bringing him home and sticking him in a crate in the basement, even if it's a nice finished basement. I mean, I'm not saying like down in the basement, but just, or even downstairs, or just a different room even. He's probably not going to handle that super great. And that's because dogs are very social creatures, and so he's going to want to know that you're near. So you're going to either need to have more than one crate or just move your crate around. Honestly, in the beginning, I tend to fade out the whole living room by day pretty quickly, because I want my puppy to get used to being in his crate without me in sight pretty quickly. But just kind of give you a little story. When I was crate training Jubes, she was doing great in her crate during the day, at night. I mean, she was doing really great. I don't remember how old she was, but like maybe 4 months old or something. And then my sister started complaining to me because I guess she was crying in the middle of the night. I couldn't hear her, but my sister could. And I had her in a different room. She was not in my bedroom. And so I decided, well, if she needs to go out in the night or something, I need to know about it, so I'll put her in my room. She never ever made a peep after that. Never. So I don't know I think she was just lonely. So that's just kind of a story to illustrate why you're probably going to need them in with you at night longer. But eventually, once they are totally crate trained, they can move to a different room of the house. So it's a short-term arrangement. It's not forever and ever. But anyway, so that is a key tip I want to bring out. So I want to talk about introducing your puppy to the crate. Now, I look at crate training in kind of two-step process. You have the introduction part, or more of a two-stage process. You have the introduction stage, and then you have the continuing the crate training stage. The introduction stage I typically do in one training session, or just maybe 1 or 2 training sessions. The more the better, obviously, but I don't always have the most ideal situations that I'm crate training in. And the continuing education part of it, the continuing training part of it, is just over the course of the next several weeks as your puppy is learning to like his crate and those types of things. So the first stage, introducing your puppy to the crate, I'm just going to kind of go through the steps that I take, and then we're going to watch some video examples. So the first one is I would toss a couple of treats into the open crate and let him go in and out a few times. So your puppy's you're gonna toss treats in there, he's gonna go in there, eat the treats, and come back out. Then I'm gonna build some duration by giving him treats while he's still in the crate with the door open. So the door's open, he goes in the crate to eat treats, I toss more treats in there while he's still in there, so he's staying in there longer. Then I'm gonna close the door and then immediately open it again. Just to kind of slowly getting him used to it being closed. Then, after he's comfortable with that, I'm going to latch the door and then close, and then I'm going to latch the door closed, and then I'm going to open it again. And then I'm going to close the door and give treats with the door closed. Just once he's comfortable with it, we're going to move on to the next step. Anytime he lays down or otherwise relaxes, I'm going to give him treats for that. So, let's look at some of these video examples I have. So this first one is I'm kind of basically luring him into the crate because he's a really young puppy, and this is his first crate training session. You see, he goes in there to eat the treat, he comes back out. He hasn't quite figured out yet that I'm only giving him treats for being inside the crate. And I do apologize about the video quality. It was taken on my old phone, and it lacks a lot. But I pulled these videos instead of other videos that I have because it shows so clearly the process. It shows the process the best. It shows his really calm body language throughout the whole process, which is what we're looking for. Obviously, different personalities are going to look slightly different, but it gives you the general idea. So now, he's obviously way more comfortable in the crate. He's going in on his own. A little clumsy-like, but that's just because he's a cute puppy. I'm still giving him treats. And I'm not using, I'm using real, actual commercial dog treats here. I'm not using dog food. Just wanted to point that out because he was so young. He was only 6 weeks old, and he hadn't really learned what treats were yet. So I had to use a higher value treat. So he bangs the door here, and he kind of scares himself, but he has amazing recovery, which is really good. But yeah, that's not ideal. Okay, and then this next clip, you're gonna see he's laying down, so that shows a lot of comfort that he's really comfortable with his crate. And then I'm gonna close the door, and then just wide open it again. He noticed, but he didn't get nervous. We don't want any panicking. If you close the crate like that and they immediately get up and they start scratching at the door, that's too panicked. We want relaxed, which is what he's doing right here. And then this next one, I'm going to be latching the door. Which, he looks up, but he's not really concerned. You know, he's not getting up, he's still just laying there. And I'm feeding him treats through the door. If he would have been more anxious, I would have just latched it and then opened it right back up. But he's not anxious at all, so I'm just giving him treats through the door. Just building the idea that it's good things happen when he's in the crate, and good things happen when he's in the crate and the door's closed. It's not a scary thing. Some puppies think it's scary, and so we have to work through that. I think most puppies, though, just have to learn how to be confined like that. It's a new concept.
Good job.
So he's obviously still very calm because the door is open and he did not even bother trying to get out. Again, he just laying there because he's eating treats and apparently he's quite food motivated. And this is also following the step of he's laying there, so I'm giving him treats for just laying there and being calm.
Good boy. He's so good.
So this is like the ideal body language that he's displaying here. If your puppy is not doing it this way, you just, if he's showing more anxious body language or whatever, you just need to go slower and give him more time to acclimate. So this is just a almost for fun video clip. He just runs in there. I'll bring it back. Just watch it again. He just runs in there. It's so cute how he hops in there. Anyway, so yeah, he's in there eating the treats, and then you're gonna see him sit down and then lay down because he's just so comfortable. So this is what you want your crate training session to look like. Obviously, like I said earlier, different personalities, it's going to look slightly different, but that's the general, you want that comfort level where he's just really calm and he's relaxed. He's not nervous about it at all. So now we're going to look at, now we're going to look at the tips for the continuing crate training process. So the first one is only put tired puppies in their crates. Obviously, this is what you're going to want to do in the beginning. Obviously, once he is fully crate trained, you can put him in there even if he isn't tired. But you really want, if you want to set him up for success, which we want to do, you really need to put tired puppies in the crate, or else they're not going to be happy. They're going to be upset because they need their energy out. And it's, when they're a young puppy, it's not really that hard to tire them out with a game of fetch or tug of war or something like that. If they're older, it's a little bit more difficult, but it's still possible. And then you're going to want to take him outside as soon as he wakes up. So he wakes up, he makes a little noise, he scratches the door. Nothing crazy and frantic unless he just really, really needs to go outside. You're going to want to take him outside. But if you want to work on duration in the crate, you're going to want to do that before he goes to sleep. Because it's just a very, very standardized rule of thumb is if a puppy is awake, if he just woke up, he needs to go outside. And that applies to crates as well. So you're going to want to have a couple of puppy-safe toys in the crate. Although we want to teach our puppy that really nothing exciting happens in the crate, it's just kind of a place where he can just learn to lay there and be bored. We're not going to make him like utterly bored. He can have a few toys that he can play with gently, quietly in his crate, to help keep him occupied. Then you're going to want to feed him in his crate, and I really, really, really recommend this because it really builds a really strong positive association with the crate. I have some puppies that I'm crate training right now, and they've been doing it for a couple of weeks now, and they're already, because I've always almost exclusively feed them inside their crates, they already run inside their crate whenever I bring them in because they are comfortable with their crate. They know good things happen in there. It's just I've used it over and over again. Just feeding your puppy in his crate. I've seen it happen over and over again. It builds a positive association, very strong and positive association, with the crate being a good place. Also, it helps them not get distracted and all that kind of stuff while they're eating. So you might want to you're also going to want to, if you're going to keep him in there for, longer periods of time, in the beginning, you're going to want to give him a stuffed con, which is like a con toy with peanut butter or pumpkin or something like that inside of it. And you can also freeze those, just kind of a tip here. You can freeze those and they last longer that way. Like it takes the puppy longer to eat the stuff out of it. You're going to want to do that not every single time you put him in his crate, but if you're going to need to have him in there for several hours or something like that, you're going to want to give him something to do, is the idea here. You're going to also want to pick up water before bedtime, because if you're crate training through the night, which I do recommend, you don't want him to, this is more like a potty training tip, honestly, but, you're going to want to pick up the water a couple of hours before bed. So he needs to make sure he has his last drink, and then he doesn't have any more water until the next morning. Obviously, when he gets older and his bladder is bigger and he is more mature, you don't have to worry about this. But in the beginning, I highly recommend that. And another thing is keep nighttime let-outs boring. So if you have to take them out in the middle of the night, which happens, especially in the beginning, keep it boring. Don't make it exciting. Just like bare minimum, just take him out. He goes. You put him straight back in his crate. Nothing, no treats, nothing exciting. That's just to help prevent it from becoming a habit. Again, if you have potty training questions, you'll want to check out the potty training web class. Okay, so that is those are the tips for the actual crate training process. If also, I got a question on here that I wanted to talk about crate training an older puppy, and maybe one that hasn't started out in the most ideal crate training circumstances. So yeah, let me try to get this. I'll read over this real quick. So she not really crate trained super great. She also is getting out of crates. I don't know what kind of crate you have her in. If it's a plastic crate, I'm not exactly sure how she's getting out of it, but there will be ways to secure that with, like, you can even use something like a zip tie or something like that, or extra clip, a different kind of clip or something. But honestly, I would really, really, really recommend just the same steps I just outlined for a new puppy. I would recommend doing that with her as well, because you're going to want, before you can expect her to stay in there and not want to be trying to get out, you're going to want her to be comfortable being in it, even if she doesn't have to get out. So basically, like that, all those steps that we talked about, the comfort going inside the crate, the comfort just laying in the crate and not, getting up and running out kind of thing. You can also use, you mentioned needing a safe place for her while you're gone. You can also use a tether for that, and I actually am going to be making a video on tethers probably next month, but just stay tuned. I'll announce that. But tethers can work really well for dogs that crate training doesn't work, and I also use tethers anyway, in addition to crate training. But I do want to kind of talk about a little bit about a puppy that I worked with who had a very bad start in his crate training. He came to me, he had not been with his new owners for maybe like 3 weeks, and he had a really bad start. He was crying in his crate all the time. He couldn't make it hardly very much time at all, and he was going in his crate. And it was just kind of a big mess for them. They didn't know what was going on. It wasn't like their other puppy. Anyway, so I took Charlie, and I don't know why my door keeps opening, but it does. I took Charlie, and at first thing was I decided not to put him in a crate for like a month. I wanted him to have that time to kind of just forget about his bad experiences. And we also worked on other things like tethering. I tried to put him in like an X pin, but he developed this cage anxiety is what I'm going to call it. It's like anything that was like a cage, because they had been using a wire kennel, but anything like a cage, so an X pin or even a play yard outside in our front yard, kind of like a puppy play yard. He did not do well with that. He was just I'm sorry. He was. It just like really just had this whole anxious routine that he went through. It was like he would bark and he would push his nose through the wire, and he would just, that was like the only thing he could think about. He was just consumed on, I'm anxious. I don't like this, and I'm sure that's what he was doing in his crate too. So I couldn't put him in any pin, or we got over the play yard and the front yard. We worked through that. But as far as like an X pin or something, that didn't work for him. So I had to use tethers, which I like tether training anyway. So, but he did well with the tether. He had to learn how to use them. But I think the tethers were helpful because it taught him how to be contained without it being a cage. So anyway, so we did the tethers, and we worked on the other issues that he had, because he had more than one. It wasn't just crate training. He had a lot of pent-up energy and that kind of stuff. So we just started kind of putting boundaries in all areas of his life. And then after about a month, I really, 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 really wish I would have kept notes on this, but this was before I started doing that. So, yeah, I don't know exactly the timeline, but I'm thinking it was about a month I had him before I decided to put him in a crate. And honestly, up until then, my crate training method had been more of a, not so gradual, I guess you would say. Normally I would just put a puppy in his crate and he might need to cry it out, and then he would end up getting to where he liked it. It was not a big deal. But with Charlie, I knew that was not going to work. So I decided to do it this more gradual method, and ever since then, that's the method I've used because it works so well. And yeah, so literally we took all the steps I just outlined, and we went super, super slow. Because the first step, toss a treat into the crate, and he goes in there, eat it. He goes in to eat it, he turns around, he goes in there, grabs the treat, runs back out, and then eats it. That's how shy he was of the crate. He did not like crates at all. And so it's like, okay, that's fine, we'll just keep doing this. And we just kept doing that. I'm thinking it probably took us like a week of every day having at least one training session. Probably around a week. Like I said, I didn't take notes, so I don't know for sure, but probably about a week. And we went through all the stages, throw the treats in there. He finally got to where he would stay in the crate and eat treats, so I was just throw the treats in, and then we closed the door. That was another step. And then we latched the door. That was another step. We had to go really, really slow. Eventually I got to where I could put him in the crate and feed him treats, have the door closed, and he was okay. He wasn't getting all worried. It was like we were making really good progress at that point. And then I got to where I would like sit down in my chair, and he would stay in the crate for like 30 minutes, and I would just give him treats periodically. And then we finally got to where he could be in his crate even if I wasn't in the room. But we just did it very, very gradually, with me constantly, or not constantly, but very, very often giving him treats for being quiet and just not pushing him beyond his threshold of comfort. And that's something else I want to mention, because kind of how I don't typically do puppies that slow, but since he already had a bad experience with crates, we went that slow. And typically what I do, like when I was talking about the 2 stages, is the first stage, we can make sure my puppy's comfortable with the crate. He's not nervous about it. The second stage is teaching him how to be good with the crate, not on a comfort level, but more just learning this is what the crate means. When I go in the crate, I'm in here, I'm supposed to be quiet, and I'm supposed to be bored, and it's okay, she's gonna let me out in a little bit, it's not gonna be forever. During that second stage though, your puppy is probably gonna end up crying at some point. I really, 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 really recommend, when he cries, ignore him unless he needs to go out, then immediately take him out. We don't want an accident in the crate. If there is an accident in the crate, it's not the end of the world, but we certainly want to avoid those if we possibly can. But anyway, sorry, I lost my train of thought. But so if he starts crying and it's not because he needs to go out, then just wait. As soon as he's quiet, give him a treat. It's our whole training system here. When they do something good, we give them a treat. And so I really, really recommend that, because whenever they learn, when I'm quiet, I get treats, then he's going to be quiet, because that's when he gets treats. So I was going to mention that earlier and I forgot. So anyway, so I hope that answers your question, Andrea. If that didn't, go ahead and just give me some more details, or tell me exactly how I didn't answer it. And if anyone else has any questions, go ahead and put those into the comments in the group, and I will see you guys next month I will be on the lookout basically for a post coming out about what next month's web class is going to be on. Probably tethers, but just be on the lookout, and just in case I change my mind. Anyway, hope you guys have a great day.